I greet you all on behalf of Kampala Quality Primary School. My name is Untitled Chapter. I'm teaching Primary 5 English. Welcome back from the long holidays, because it's been a long time since we've been in class. I know some of you might have forgotten everything that you learned before going for the lockdown. Before we closed the term, we were talking about verbs. But we went to the lockdown because of coronavirus. I hope you still remember and you are keeping safe. Remember to wash your hands. Remember to wear a mask when you're going out. Don't forget not to touch your men. When I say men, I mean mouth, eyes, and nose. Please stay safe. We are talking about verbs. We defined a verb. We looked at types of verbs. Now, I want you to look at the pictures and tell me what is happening in the pictures. Let's look at our first picture. What are those girls doing? So we talk about the actions that these girls are doing. As you can see, some are sitting while others are standing. So now the verb is stand and sit. We look at the second picture. When you look at this picture here, you can see some faces there which you remember. And I think you remember what was happening on that day. It was our end of year party last year. If you look at that picture, there are some faces which you can know. Who can remember the name of that girl who is holding the microphone? Wow, I can see that one remembers. Spice Diana. As Spice Diana was singing, some people were doing an action. When you see that girl there in the shirt with squares, what is she doing? Which action is she doing? Okay? She's dancing. So which is our verb? Dance. Dance is an action. Okay? Then we look at this picture. This picture was taken when our P7 pupils had gone for the trip to Kasese. And here they were at Katwe salt mines. So what action do you think is taking place there? What can you see the pupils doing in the picture? Someone has said that they are looking at the water. Another one is saying they are listening. So different active actions are taking place according to how you interpret. But from now, say they are learning, because they were learning about salt mining. So our action there is learn. So when we see this, we see there are different verbs, and when we talk about verbs, if you remember what we said, we are talking about the actions. Any word used to describe an action is a verb. Okay? So from there, we are going to look at our lesson today, and we are going to begin with what I expect from you by the end of the lesson. During this lesson, you're supposed to observe the following rules. First of all, I want you to switch off all your gadgets. If you are having a phone, switch it off. Don't be near a TV. Make sure you sit in a quiet room. Keep time. Time to arrive for the lesson. When I give you work to do and I give a question, make sure you answer it in the shortest time possible. Have an open mind. Ask questions. You ask yourself. If you are two in a room, you can ask your sister or your brother who is near you. Be honest, especially when I tell you to cross-check the answers you have written. Be honest to make sure that the answers you have are the correct ones. Be positive and constructive. When I ask you a question, make sure that you are active. If I say write down, make sure you write down. Interact and collaborate with others with active participation. Like you're in P5 and there is a P6 or P7 child, or even a P4 child at your home, you can call that person and then you discuss some of these. Take responsibility for your own learning, because I'm not there to ask you whether you have answered. I'm not there to check if you are doing what I want. But make sure that you're responsible. Observe neatness of work. As you're writing, don't write and cross and write and cross. Make sure that whatever you write neatly in our cursive handwriting. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to do the following. First of all, you should be able to define a verb. You should know the principal parts of verbs. You should tell the difference between regular and irregular verbs. You should be able to identify and mention parts of the given regular verbs, and you should use the verbs to construct meaningful sentences. Now, get your pen, open your book, because before we close the term, we are talking about verbs. So I want you to answer these questions. I'm giving you only 2 minutes to answer these questions. Write answers only. Don't write the questions. What is a verb? Write the answer. Write down any 4 examples of verbs. Write them down. Answers only. List for me 4 examples of verbs. Write 4 regular verbs. Then what are irregular verbs? I want you to define what you understand by regular verbs. Then list 4 examples of irregular verbs. You have 1 minute. Now let's look at the answers. Cross-check and we see if the answers you wrote are the same as I have. A verb is a word that describes an action, a condition, or a state of being. An action, what you do. If I do like this, what action is that? If I do like this, which action is that? So an action verb. It can be a physical action, which I can see you doing, or it can be a mental action in the brain. For example, think. If I say, think of a word, I can't see you thinking, but it is taking place in the brain. That's what we mean by a mental action. A verb tells us what is happening, what happens or what happened long time ago. That's why we have the tenses, which talk about the time when the action took place. A verb is a word that expresses the aspect of time, while at the same time showing an action or a condition or a fact that something exists. For example, when we say, Mary eats daily, it shows an action of what Mary does every day. We can say, Tom plays football every day. We can say, I brush my teeth every day. It shows a physical action. When I say, I'll be late, be is a verb, but it is a verb which shows a condition. When I say, I am sick, am is the verb. It shows the condition. When I say, they were not here when I arrived, where is the verb? It shows the condition, or it shows existence. So we are also going to look at the basic forms of verbs. Verbs are either regular or irregular. When we talk about regular and irregular verbs, we are especially looking at the main verbs. Regular verbs add D or ED when they are forming their past form or their past participle forms. For example, when I say, John laughed yesterday. Laughed adds ed. When I say the pupils climbed a hill, the pupils climbed a hill. The word climb is a regular verb because we add ed. It becomes climbed from the word climb. When I say John skipped a rope, the word skip, we add ed to become skipped. So it is a regular verb because we add ed. When I say they smiled at us, the word smile, we add d to become smiled. Therefore, smile is a regular verb. Irregular verbs do not add ed or d to form their past forms and their past participle forms. For example, Mary sat down. Mary sat down. From which word do we get the word sat? Sit. Sit does not add ed. It changes the middle vowel. That's why you will say sit is an irregular verb because it does not add ed. The boys swam in the river. The boys swam in the river. The word swim has changed to swam. We have not added ed. So swim is an irregular verb. When we say Tom ate a mango. Tom ate a mango. Tom ate a mango. The word ate. From which word do we get the word ate? Eat. The word eat does not add ed to form its past tense. We say ate. That's why you say it is an irregular verb. When you look at the participle forms of irregular verbs, they do not add ed or d. For example, you say, Tom has drawn a nice picture. Tom has drawn a nice picture. The word drawn, from which word? Draw. We don't add ed, we've added n. That's why we say they are irregular verbs. Verbs have 6 principal parts, or what we call basic parts. And these are the parts which we use when we are forming the tenses. The base form is used in present tense, especially if you're talking about plural nouns, if you're talking about yourself, you're talking about you and someone else. For example, I say, I go to school every day. We have used the word go the way it is as its base form. We learn English daily. Learn is in the base form. The base form is also used with modal verbs. The base form is also used with modal verbs. Remember, we talked about modal verbs before closing the term. For example, can, could, will, should, shall. If you're using those, we use the base form. I will meet Tom tomorrow. She should obey her parents. She should obey her parents. Obey, we are using the base form. Then the past form. Some of you confuse the past form with the past tense. The past form is a form of a word. Then the past tense is the tense or the time, it tells the time. So the verbs which we use in past tense are in the past form. For example, Anna learned English yesterday. Mary swept the class. Mary swept the class yesterday. Anita called me to the office. We are using the past tense. And the verbs used in the past tense are the past form of verbs. Then we have the past participle form. The past participle form is used when you are forming the perfect tenses. The present perfect, the past perfect, the future perfect. When you are forming those tenses, we use the past participle. The past participle form of verbs are also used when we are forming passive voice. For example, in perfect tense, he has drawn a nice picture. He has drawn. When you find has, have, had, those are the helping verbs that we use in the perfect tenses. The cat has chased a rat. The cat has chased a rat. The word chased is used as participle form. Then passive voice. Passive voice is when we are talking about what action was done. For example, you say, the pupils were taught by teacher Mary last year. The glass was broken by Jane. That is the passive voice. Also, we are using broken, not broke. And broken is the participle form of the verbs. Then we have the present participle form of verbs. Some people confuse the present participle form with the continuous tense. The present participle form is used when we are forming the progressive tenses or the continuous tenses. We form the present participle form by adding ing to the base verbs. So whenever you meet a verb that they have, on which they have added ing, know that is the present participle form of verbs. Some of them are used as nouns. For example, in progressive tenses, we can use the present participle when we are forming present continuous tense. I am going to school. Or when you are forming the past continuous tense, Mary was eating bananas. Or we can use in the future perfect tense, Tom will be going to Masaka. Such tenses we use the present participle form of the verbs. Then they are also used as gerunds. For example, I can say, crossing the road, the girl was knocked down by a car. The word crossing, this is not in present continuous tense. It has been used as a gerund. Or sometimes they are used as nouns. For example, I can say, running is a tiresome activity. Swimming is an interesting sport. There we are using their present participle form as nouns. Then we have the S form. This is where we get the base form and we add S. This is used with singular pronouns or when you're talking about only one noun. For example, you can say, Mary goes to school every day. On the word go, we have added es. That is the base form plus s. You can say, the girl writes well. The girl writes well. That is the S form. We have added S. Then, with these forms of verbs, we use them in different tenses according to the rules of grammar. So I want you to look at these pictures. We are looking at verbs that end in E. When we have a base verb ending with letter E, and you want to change that verb to the present, to the past tense, or to the past form and past participle, we are supposed to add letter E. You can't add E because there is E is already there. So when you look at this picture, we can see people, and what are they doing in this picture? Yes, they are cutting a cake. Why do you think they are cutting a cake? Think. These people are cutting a cake. There are even some faces which you can see and you know those people. They are cutting the cake to celebrate. So the verb is celebrate. When you have the word celebrate, it is a regular verb which ends with letter E. So when you are forming the past tense or past participle, we add D to become celebrated. Let's look at this picture. There are also some people whom you know. This is an activity, a weekly activity at our school. If you remember, every Friday in the morning, we go for aerobics. During aerobics, what do we do? If you look at the picture, someone saying they are holding the legs. Some saying they are kicking the legs. But what they are doing is exercise. They are exercising. So the verb is exercise. When you have the word exercise, it ends with the letter E. So what do? We add D to become exercised. You say, the girls exercised last Friday. In participle form, we say, the girls have exercised today. The girls have exercised today. So that is the word exercise. We have this one. We had already seen this picture, and we said they were dancing. So the verb is dance. If we have the verb dance, we add D to become danced. I danced at my auntie's birthday party. I danced at my auntie's birthday party. So the word dance becomes danced. They danced at the wedding party. They have danced very well. We have the word dance. Now, for me, I've given you 3 verbs. Celebrate, exercise, and dance. Write for me 5 verbs that end with letter E, and we are going to have 3 columns. 1 column for the base form, another column for past form, and another column for past participle form. So you're going to write for me like I've said, dance, danced, danced. You're also going to write for me 5 verbs. You write the verb in the base form, change it to past form, change it to past participle form. Make sure the verb you write ends with letter E, and make sure that when you're forming the past tense, you add only letter D, and even when you're forming the participle, you have 1 minute. Are you writing the verbs? You have 30 seconds to finish writing the verbs. Okay, time for writing is over. Now let's cross-check the verbs you have written with the ones I have. Let's see if you have some of the verbs I have. We have the verbs here. I had already talked about the word dance, which becomes danced and danced. The word smile, verb smile. For example, the teacher smiled during the lesson. The word smile has changed to smiled. Arrange. Arrange your books. Tom has arranged his books. Mary arranged her books. Arrange becomes arranged, arranged. Fine. If you commit a crime and you're taken to court, you'll be asked to pay some money because of the crime you have committed. So we say the thief was fined 10,000 shillings. The thief was fined 10,000 shillings. Or we can say, my mother was fined for coming late to the meeting. The word is fine. It has changed to fined. Believe. Believe. Some of you have a problem spelling the word believe. Can you spell the word believe? B-L-I-V-E. Believe. I believe in God. I told Mary a story, but Mary never believed me. He said I was telling lies. So we have the word believe. In past tense, it becomes believed. You can say, I believed my mom when she said that she was going to buy for me a dress. Then in participle, again, it remains as believed. He has believed all the lies my uncle told him. change. For example, the word dance changed to danced. So which word? Change. We have used the word change to make a sentence here. Now, you're going to write for me 3 sentences using these verbs we have learned today. And make sure that those sentences are in 3 forms. If you make a sentence with the base form, repeat that sentence, but now change it to past form and in past participle form. That is my exercise for today. Write for me sentences using verbs that end with letter E, and make sure you write the sentence, use the verb 3 times. I want only 5 verbs, only 5 verbs. As we wait to come back for the next session, stay safe. Remember, not touch your men, I mean your mouth, nose, and eyes. Make sure whenever you're going out, wear a mask. Please don't forget to sanitize. Wash your hands as many times as possible. Don't go into crowds. Don't leave your homes to go outside to play football with the people from the community, because you never know who has the disease. Till next time, have a great day. Thank you.